one man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Welcome everybody to the Creed of Crypto. My name is Barely Legal Boy Crypto. I have here with me, as always, Crypto Ewok, my friend and co-host. Welcome into everybody in the chat. We got Bitfinesse in here. We got Valiant Low Key. We got Tam Tam. We got Hex Girl. We got Hex Wizard 369. We got Pulse Beats. Man, a whole bunch of people are already hanging out in here today that are just addicted to this market that keeps bashing us all right on over the head. So yeah, it's awesome to see you all here, and honestly really appreciate it, and a huge inspiration that a lot of you guys have stuck with us and the ecosystem with crypto over the years, no matter what, still showing up every single week. So really appreciate all of you guys being here. Tonight we'll talk about, is Bitcoin primed to cut itself in half by the end of this year and head on down to 35K? Obviously, that's what most of the mainstream crypto influencers do believe is going to happen at this point. We'll talk about that. We had some major developments within PulseChain over the last couple of days. Most excitingly, the release from Liberty Swap of the ZKX wallet, right? Yeah, the ZKX wallet is now live, which is super interesting. Kind of a revolutionary way to interact with your wallet, interact with the blockchain that can add more privacy right into your wallet. We'll get into that and kind of how it works as well. We had the FOMC meeting today, which was big nothing burger, which everybody expected. No rates were cut, and apparently should be the final meeting with Jerome Powell as the Fed chair. So interesting to see him go, even though I think there's rumors of him lingering around and, causing whatever pain he can before he does leave. If we get to it, we got Ben Cohen standing for Gary Gensler, wishing for the good old days that when Gary Gensler was around and wanting him to come back, thinking that that would somehow resurrect the crypto bull market. So, a lot of weird stuff to talk about. Probably the weirdest timeline in the history of cryptocurrency, I would say. Anyway, so how are you tonight, Ewok, on this final Wednesday in April showers, April this month?
Yeah, I'm good. Just some weird stuff. And I think that kind of happens as people get unsettled and just not sure which way to go, thinking, all right, man, is it going to go lower? Do I wait to buy more? Are we at the point now where everyone kind of feels that way? Should I sell now and buy back later when it goes lower? I mean, that's a thought that a lot of people are thinking. Man, it's just a really dangerous time, I think, in my opinion, anyway, to do those and try and make moves right now. It's a very uncertain time. I'm good. I was just, it's odd. I don't look at the charts other than when we're on stream. It's not something that I do. I don't get into staring at charts all day long. I pull them up and get ready for the show, kind of look at them, and I'm like, doesn't look bad. So, I'm still in camp bull, that we can possibly have a really good summer. And, from what I'm seeing, it's kind of looking that way. So, yeah, I'm doing well.
Yeah, I guess we shall see. Yeah, most people obviously expect downside only, and certainly feels like that. I think we've all been slapped in the face so long that, that's just what we expect, which usually you would think would lead to conditions for more bullish times, but I've thought that about 38 other times over the last few years. So let's real quick just get into where we are at with Bitcoin and ETH right now. We have Bitcoin hanging around around the same zone it's been for quite a while now. We've had a lot of consolidation here, as you can see on the chart. We got Bitcoin right under 76K right now. ETH has moved down over the last few days, still up over 2150, which is, nice that for a few weeks at this point, it has been closing over that range. So it's at 2250 right now for Ethereum. And yes, I mean, still most people very bearish on Bitcoin for the remainder of this year. Most people think that, we will go down within 50 to 60%, even more from here. We are seeing a solid recovery since that horrible drop in February. I mean, basically for 2026, the first couple of months, it was down only in elevator style. And now we've seen a little bit of a recovery up here for Bitcoin. Obviously, and we can maybe weave this in because it's not like much happened, but some intraday volatility today with the FOMC obviously happening. No one expected any movement. That's exactly what we got. I'll be honest, didn't listen to one word of Jerome Powell at all for his last meeting. I saw headlines, I don't know if it was clickbait, but talking about him wanting to hang around a little bit extra. I don't know what that means or what he can actually do. As next month, I believe Kevin Warsh is definitely set to take over, and he will head up the next FOMC meeting. And I don't want to call Warsh like Trump's errand boy, but I have a feeling that he'll be more likely to do things that Trump would prefer.
Yeah.
For the remainder of Trump's presidency, which with the rate that's going, things that Trump prefers haven't really been any good at all. So we'll see how all that goes. But yeah, what do you make of this move from Bitcoin now? I mean, that does look kind of nice on the chart with where we've been headed, but are we just doomed as we, it is still just April. So a lot of these people that are expecting like the lows in the fourth quarter this year, that could absolutely still happen. So what do you make of where we're at right now?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the week goes from when we streamed last, we were on this green candle right in here. Let me kind of zoom in a little bit. It was this one that took us up a little bit. And then I said, don't be surprised, if we see a little bit of a pullback, as long as it doesn't make a lower low, things are looking good. And I think we're still following that same pattern. I'm seeing higher highs, I'm seeing higher lows, and that pattern is still in play. So again, that's what I was talking about. I mean, I don't see anything really bad. Yes, this could pull back to if it touches this trend line, that would mean we're in the 68 range. But as long as it bounces off of that and doesn't get any lower than the 65, I'm seeing just another continuation pattern of a trend, or it's a trend line that it's staying within. So that looks good. Ethereum following very similar to the pattern. It's again a little bit delayed. So this one is this one pulled back a little harder. I did notice that we lost a little bit on the ratio. The Bitcoin Ethereum ratio is down to 0.029. It had been up in the 0.3s area. So, this did break below that trend line that we had. But, I think it's fighting. It's fighting to get back up, which means one of two things. We're losing strength, or Bitcoin just kind of decided to take off a little bit sooner. There's a lot more of a run up here on the Bitcoin chart than you're seeing on Ethereum. It's more kind of methodical looking. So yeah, I'm still seeing strength in Bitcoin. Like I said, I think this is going to be a regular pullback. Keep an eye out if it does get down to this area, the 68,000, roughly maybe 69,000, and touch off of this. If you are playing those kind of moves, it would have been good for a while. Since February, you could have played these moves and drawn a nice little pattern here. Let me see, staying in between this range. And if this were to extend, something like that, it's been bouncing in between there ever since. So, for those of you who do like to trade, I mean, there's some good opportunities in here if it continues. But again, there's never any guarantees like that, but they do seem to follow these patterns for a while.
Yeah, either way, nice to see a little bit of an uptrend as Bitfinex says right now. And yeah, it's not like ETH has lost anything substantial against BTC. And obviously, I saw Tom Lee continues to line his Ethereum pockets, which,
Yeah.
you don't need very big pockets for anymore at this point with the price continuing to go down. But I saw he bought thousands and thousands more Ethereum the other day. So yeah, I mean, people like that are buying right now, but I mean that was also happening when ETH was up towards 4,000, and then we went down 50%. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. What do you make? I mean, since it is kind of just what I chose as the arbitrary headline of the stream, though, I mean, what do you think of the chances? I know you just said you think it will be bullish this summer. Obviously, everybody. I just saw this, and I know this is like the mainstream thought, obviously, but I just saw this post today about how it's locked in, guarantee, sell in May and go away. It's happened in the last previous 3 cycles. Whatever the May top was, it was 60% down the rest of the year. Blah 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 blah. Traditionally, when people are 100% assuming something like that, it does not happen at all. But
Yeah.
if you've been a bear for the last 4 years, you're rich. So I don't know. What do you make of that? Because that seems to be the consensus right now.
Well, let's take a look what happened last May. Right? Here is May 1st, and it was at 93,000, and it proceeded to go up to 126. So I don't know. You
Well,
tell
I was
me.
I was maybe I should have been more clear. I'm talking about in the like in 2022, 2018, those trends they were talking about, not every single year. So maybe I wasn't clear enough, but
Okay.
that's what they were saying. In the first bear market year that's what's happened. So, but
Yeah.
you're right.
Um,
Last year, not the case.
yeah, I don't think I'm just looking here at this as well. May has I don't feel that it's really been that way. This one, all right. So let's look at 24 for May. Um, that saying is what I'm relating to, not what you really
I
said, but
got
the statement go. It did kind of just flatline the whole way to September before it started to go up. It was at 60,000. It made its way up to I don't know 108 or so here. Um, I'm just looking at history as far as the May statement. Um, this one, May of 23, also decided to run up, into April of the next year before it kind of cooled off. So I don't really agree with that statement. I guess it's
Well,
fair
they
to
were talking
say,
about, like I said, they were talking about 2022, 2018. I mean, stuff like that. But
yeah.
yeah, the point remains. Again, pretty much everybody thinks that's what's going to happen, and usually that means it doesn't happen. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
so maybe okay, so May of 22, 4 years ago, we did have a considerable pullback. So, I guess if they're saying if they're saying this is a repeat of still the 4-year cycle, I guess that would fall into what happened 4 years ago, where it did go in from May, what it went down. Let's look here, May, it was roughly 31,000 and it went all the way down to that 15. So,
Right.
um, but again, this bull market was nothing like the bull market of 2021. Before that. So, I I don't know. I'm just not seeing a similarity of the run up in order to get a similar pullback. So I guess that's kind of where what I'm thinking and where we're at as far as that goes. This cycle has been nothing really the same. We never did anything on the the what's that, the chart that I always refer to.
Banner
uh,
cycle or whatever. Or I mean,
um
oh no,
it,
the pi cycle indicator.
yeah, the
Yeah. Yeah.
pi cycle top indicator um tells us that we never even got close to a top. So yeah, I mean, take it for what it's worth. I don't see a similarity other than Bitcoin was really the only thing to kind of go anywhere. And yeah, I'm not sold that this is a still a 4-year cycle. I think something has extended, and this is more of a cool off period. There's a lot of weird stuff with institutional money There's a lot of questions about the Clarity Act. There's a lot of just, you know, I think it just cooled off. I don't know that we're going to have a traditional pullback, completely bear market, like people are expecting.
It would make a lot of sense, and to that person, and I'm talking about a random person on Twitter, but it did get a lot of engagement. But I mean that would mean like 30K BTC by the end of the year, so that would actually mean even lower than normal if it would to keep the trend they're talking about. And yeah, like you said, I mean it was the worst bull market in Bitcoin's history, basically. Johnny Chaos here in the chat, a couple of comments. He says, "I think mainstream buys back at 85K." I mean. Honestly, this stuff makes all the sense in the world to me that this is what is going to happen, just because that everybody is geared for the downside.
Yeah,
I think that number is pretty much right, because I've heard multiple like big cheds and big time traders like that on Twitter talk about that as like a potential that could invalidate my thesis of a 35K low or whatever. I mean, that would be, look, we all got a horrible curveball over the last couple of years. Like, we all thought this cycle is going to be the same as before in terms of Ethereum doing XYZ, going multiples over its last all-time high. It's going to outpace BTC at some point. It's going to happen in Q4 of 2025. We were all completely wrong, and we all expected that to happen. Most people are expecting this bearishness and for Ethereum to basically be dead, and that the great crypto experiment is dead. I think what Johnny's saying makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. I'm just gun shy to think anything positive at this point. So,
and that's okay to be cautious and to be, to be that way. And, who knows, 85 could be a fake out too. So, when you get a lot of people coming in, and that could signal, all right, this is the time for the big players to exit, because there's so many people that have huge bags that are able to sell off at whatever level they want to. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you get institutional money involved, right? They can manipulate the market. So you've got to be careful. But I do like, what he's saying is people watching those numbers. And honestly, we're not far away. We were at almost 80 just like a few days ago. So 85, it could happen in a day, man. We've seen moves bigger than that in a day. So could go from 80 to 85 in a heartbeat, and people just get left behind. That's what I was saying. Making those type of moves where I'm going to sell now, I'll buy back later when it goes down, could be one of the worst decisions that you make ever, because then you don't ever get a chance to come back to those levels. And I've seen it time and time again, people trying to outsmart the market. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah, totally agree with that. You don't want to get too cute. You just reminded me of something else there, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
DJ and Moonboy in the house. Thank you for the $19.99 donation.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, we appreciate you. I don't know if you can read that. My cursor's being a little bit weird right now. I didn't see what he said.
He says, I want to give a shout out and early happy birthday to my cousin and fellow Hexagon Tom Love, who lost his battle with cancer 3 years ago at the age of 50. R.I.P. Hodge.
There you go. Appreciate that, DMB. And R.I.P. To Tom for sure. So the greater point, I don't want to I feel weird transitioning out of that. I don't know if you want to say anything there, Ewok, or not.
Well, Tom was a good friend of mine too. We went to high school together. We've known each other since freaking Cub Scouts, man. So a great friend of mine who we lost 3 years ago. It's a very sad thing. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate that, DMB, and Tom is definitely with us in spirit and rooting the bull market on, I believe. So that is much appreciated from you, DMB. There was one thing I wanted to say kind of on Johnny's point, and then Ethereum for the rest of this year. I'm forgetting what it was, though. So I don't know. Did you have any final thoughts on the market right now, Ewok, and just how we could look the rest of the year, though?
Well, no, and like I said, until we get out of this trend, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Some consolidation, and people getting kind of settled in here. It's just a matter of watching what happens, and I'm very happy with what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing anything scary or indicating that we're going to even get close to 35,000.
Well, I hope that you are right. And, for the long term investor, it's kind of just, I think the healthiest mindset is to just ignore the charts as much as you can and DCA into whatever it is you want to DCA into,
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, it stands to reason. Yeah, I mean, with how suppressed of a bull market we had this time around, that maybe it wouldn't go down. There was a big post from Bob Lucas the other day that's like, all these people that are wanting to DCA into some of the large cap altcoins with the reasoning that they're already down so low, there's no way they can go down that much more. He's like, there's definitely significant room to the downside. They're definitely going to go down. And then today he posted that he added buying XMR Monero to his long-term HODL portfolio, which I just thought was a weird back-to-back day today.
Well, yeah, and you have to be careful what these guys say. They have a big audience, and people listen to what they say and take it as gospel, and they'll sell thinking, well, Bob Lucas thinks it's going to go down, and then guess what? He's sitting there waiting to scoop it up. So
that's what I thought was weird. One day, and then the following day,
and it is a weird time. I heard Hoskinson went live the other night. He's got over 300,000 followers, and he had 180 people watching his live stream.
Wow, yeah,
which is crazy. I mean, those numbers are just, people are not really interested, and that's when good things happen. A lot of times and Johnny said it too. He's like, people would have said, people in 3 months, 4 months will say, oh, that looked like a very obvious uptrend. You can see it now. Well, yeah, of course you can see it now. Hindsight's 2020.
Right.
But I feel like that's where we're at.
Yeah. It certainly does feel that way. It's just been so relentlessly bad for so long. I think, like I said, I used the word gun shy earlier, and I think that's how a lot of people would think how it would feel. And you would think when everyone feels that way, how can there be many sellers left? You know what I mean? You're just kind of holding and hoping. And, really, I mean, most people have walked away from the market, even if they haven't sold. I mean, I honestly feel that way myself. I mean, I know we do this show every week and we're in tune with what's going on, but I've pretty much psychologically checked out. I'm not anywhere near the attention that we've given it the last even 4 years, assuming what was going to happen at the end of 2025 and now seeing this, I don't want to say it's not like writing it off. It's just, I'm not incessantly thinking about it every day, and it's there, and you check it whenever you want to. But
well, it's not healthy to do that anyway. So
exactly, yeah. So good stuff. I appreciate all your comments on this stuff, guys. Very good stuff in the chat. So if you guys are enjoying the stream, do us a favor, peg that like button. We do this every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate you being here. Let's look at the PulseChain ecosystem here now. Basically, almost hit a new all-time low earlier today. We were about 1% away from it. I don't know what the story is. Some guy, as if we haven't seen 48,000 of these posts over the last few years, but some guy sold 30K in one clip and he's got 700 billion pulse left. I have no idea whether it's true. Who cares? But anyway, that was, I think, the reason for, and there was, I mean, when I saw that we had come down quite a bit earlier today, I thought maybe the whole market did because of the FOMC, but yeah, it was kind of PulseChain centric, so that's fun. But we have Pulse right now at 5 zeros and a 728. We have PulseX at 5 zeros, 578. Inc is at 34.5 cents. Hex at 0013. eHex at 000587. Still right around 50% discount from the other hex. And Provex right now at it's kind of hanging out at this pullback zone that it's gone to a few times at 4068. So for Provex, I already did kind of DCA a little bit here this week, actually, because this zone is one that it keeps kind of dropping back into. So we'll see if that proves out to be a good buying opportunity or not. But for the ecosystem as a whole, Ewok, again, we have Pulse got down to about 1% off of its previous low today already. And what do you think? I mean, we've come down kind of below the line that you had there.
Well, yeah, we came down below the trend line. However, we did not get, we did get close. And once again, that level got defended. That whole of 5 zeros and a 6-9 or 7, whatever you want to call it, got defended yet again. So now that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times we've tapped that line. Either somebody very strong is defending that, or what tends to happen is if you tap resistance like that, or I guess it would be positive if some resistance that way, you're bound to break through it. Somebody can only defend it so many times before it does come crashing through. But as of right now, we're holding up at that level, and it got bought back very quickly. So yes, while we're still riding this trend line down, that last level though is still quite important, that we don't break through it. And like I said, it is 5069 in that area. So there's strength at a certain point, but again, it continues to hold on to this trend line, and we're going to be through that. And I think that support will probably go away. And then they're probably going to pick a new level to support until people just stop dumping their bags.
Yeah. Yep. Still basically in the same downtrend. So just kind of waiting and seeing it. I mean, we always focus on the Pulse chart because it is the gas token of the ecosystem. But like I've seen a couple people go back and be showing the PulseX versus Pulse ratio this week, just to show how unbelievably strong that's been in its entire existence, and really just continues to look very strong. And a lot of people advocating for, PulseX being still like of the core tokens, if you will, the biggest value proposition of all of them at this point. I know you would probably disagree and state hexes, but I mean, a lot of people, like PulseX. And then obviously we've discussed the reasons for Provex. You can, whether you're calling that a core token or an extension of the ecosystem or whatever you're calling it. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Provex and wanting to DCA into that. I guess that's a question for you, Ewok. I mean, if you were like hardcore DCAing in, or cautiously, I should say, DCAing in right now because of all the question marks in the entire crypto space. How do you think you would be DCAing? I mean, what would you be buying? Would you be buying equally? Assuming all things equal, like assuming you've got relatively equal bags already of everything right now.
Well, obviously my love is still Hex. You mentioned that. I think because there's a lot less supply because of the lockup, and it has a history, right? We have something to go on. We have a previous all-time high that we know what it is, and we know it's possible to get back there. Less and less of it for sale on the markets makes that number, I don't want to say easily attainable, but much more likely. With these other numbers, or with the other tokens, we don't have a history. We don't have an all-time high other than launch day. So the distribution is also another one. Trillions of tokens out there of them. And again, we don't know how long it's going to take for people to just be done with it and sell. So if I were DCAing right now, I think that the two that I would probably go heaviest in is probably Hex and Provex at this point. Only because of, again, the distribution of Pulse and PulseX. I think our indication is going to be when some of these PulseX pools come back for the incentive token. If there is any kind of rewards that increase or anything like that, could be a good sign that the market may be turning around, right? So, but yeah, for right now, I think I would maybe do a quarter of, if I had to disperse it amongst the core tokens, I would probably put like a quarter or a third into PulseX, and then I would put the other 2/3 into Hex and PulseX or Provex. Sorry.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I think I would just be buying Provex really right now. I mean, for me, I'm just the most interested in that, assuming that I'm already pretty much the same weight with everything. I mean, maybe I would like slightly weighted in favor of Provex just because I really think, I mean, and there is the chart right on time. I really do think we've talked about the idea that, I think this is going to be used as a catalyst for RH to do some things with this ecosystem. I mean, we saw a lot of the clues. We don't have to continuously cover like the sacrifice for this. I mean, it was the inverse of any other large sacrifices throughout time. There was only 16 million raised, which is in theory why we feel like it could be easier to pump. Nowhere near the holders as a lot of other past sacrifices, and liquidity wise it's been tied to stables and ETH mainly. So I mean, you can see it's a good looking chart still so far. I mean, literally a pennant so far. Exactly. And these zones it's been in now have been, decent DCA zones. And this price we're at right now is right where it took off from, if you remember, whenever he had a little bit of a bullish Provex tweet storm a few weeks back, and then it took off from here. So our kind of sacrifice rate from being in Buck's pool, which was public for anybody watching to have gotten into back when we did, has never been in deficit. We've been in profit the entire time, which is good to think of too. That's why, even though like we've always been in profit, these levels right now, maybe you think, well, I want to wait till it gets down to where my sacrifice rate is. But you also got to remember too, like most of the people that sacrifice, they are underwater a little bit right now. Not a lot, but I mean, they're down 30% right now. So
yeah.
Yeah. What, I mean, I know this chart has little history. I mean, we're maybe a month old at this point. Is that about right?
Yeah, a month and 2 weeks. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, six weeks.
I mean, it is looking pretty good so far. Obviously, it's super, super early, but yeah, what do you make of where Provex has been so far?
Well, I mean, it's just a consolidation range yet again. I mean, you're looking at this and almost, other than this first sell-off, which, was kind of expected. We didn't know how much it would play out. But from here, it's been on another just consolidation pattern. Now it is, I would say, trending somewhat downward, but it wouldn't take a whole lot. There isn't a whole lot of liquidity. There's still only $1 million worth of liquidity, 979,000 in this pair with USDC. And again, I don't know, my theory is still holding true that there hasn't been a whole lot of buy pressure ever since it was paired with things that were not really intended to be paired with. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how much of that pairing still exists. Again, I haven't looked at the liquidity, but I don't think it was ever pulled. There was a lot of the core tokens that ended up getting paired. You had Hex, you had Pulse, you had PulseX, you had PDI. A lot of those things got paired with this token. And originally, I think there were only 4 pairs. It was the 3 stable coins and Ethereum were the only true pairs that it was bonded to. So again, just a theory, but we haven't really seen any kind of massive buy pressure since those pairings happened. So.
Yeah, but I mean, do you really think that the numbers of those pairings were so significant that would make that big of an impact? I mean, they were nowhere near the levels of the stables,
Was probably,
I think PDI was 50,000, and I think that might have been the biggest one I saw. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I can try and look for some of those pairs while we're. Yeah.
Nah, let's not do that. I think that'll waste too much time. I don't know. I just felt like with this being $1 million to the other stables and stuff like that, I just don't know that it could really make that big of an impact. I mean, it's never made sense to me that like RH could launch something like this. It's tied mainly with stables and everything, and then he's like, "Oh, well, I didn't think somebody would pair it with this stuff. That's going to ruin it." I mean, I seriously can't imagine that it's like, never mind. Provex is dead because people paired it with other stuff. I mean, I get it. I definitely get the incentive to not pair it to the core tokens. I understand that, but yeah.
Yeah, and you know, because of the sell pressure, this could bring other stuff up, and again, just kind of hurt the price. So again, why? You know, there's been lessons learned along the way when you try to inject some volume and some buy pressure to get a nice looking chart, and people sell it about instantaneously. Why would you inject capital when you're really just kind of hurting yourself, right? You're giving people exit liquidity that want out. Let them shake themselves out first before you even do that. And you know, you test the market a little bit here and there, see what kind of sell pressure happens. And this, I think, is going to be the one that gets tested, right? I don't see, other than the levels that are being defended, I don't see any god candles that, you know, that he was talking about, which is another, you know, funny post that we'll probably talk about here shortly.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, still liking Provex. So good stuff
Yeah.
there. Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's move on to some of the Richard Hart posts that we've seen over the last couple of days, because there's been some very interesting stuff. Not just the post, but the replies. He was mixing it up with that Giga guy and also Gary funding Jim, which
Yep.
was very interesting. I want to get your thoughts on both of these. Do you want to start? We'll just read his post about bridges first, like his main post that I think brought on the. Well, I think it brought on both those comments, if I recall. So we can, yeah. So we'll read the post and then we can just get into that juicy stuff. All right. So RH says Richard teaches you how bridges work. Example: chain A to chain B, coins locked to chain A. Magic: coins mint on chain B. What's this magic step? Chain B doesn't know what's happening on chain A, so trust must be introduced. You have to trust validators to not collude with each other to lie about what happened on chain A. Validators could lie about how much went on in chain A and inflation bug chain B. Then some could bridge back the inflated coins and empty the original coins locked on chain A. But what if a validator dies? What if a validator gets hacked? What if a validator tries to get others to collude with him to lie? What if a validator holds the validating ransom? Some people think that there should be a time lock over the power to try to fix the above problems. What's the counterbalance to the above problems? More trust. You might want some mechanism to add, move, subtract the quantity of validators needed. In the end, every single bridge has social risk, just like every single chain has social risk. They are computers run by humans on networks, and none of those three things is perfect. You can only buy down the risk of the original sin of chain B, not knowing the true state of chain A, by spreading validation geographically and across parties and hope for the best, but you can't completely eliminate the risk. The largest hacks in crypto history have been bridge hacks. So now ask yourself, why in the barest of bare does Richard have to teach you about bridges and risks again for the umpteenth time, as though something has changed? I've been telling you these same exact things over and over again, but I guess some need reminding or prefer to talk about risk in every thread about benefits. Makes you wonder. TLDR, all bridges are risk, and when done well, the risk appears to be far lower than centralized exchange risk. You're welcome. P.S. Some people have swapped bridge in tokens for native tokens and enjoyed the experience. P.P.S. I think some folks find it far easier to post negatively than positively. If y'all want one of those, work on yourself. Consider it personal development. So I know this led to a lot of comments. So where do you want to start? Because I know a lot of these people have egos and have been around for a while, and I don't know a lot about them, and I'm sure some other people do. But Giga chimes in and says, "You realize bridge validation is separate from proxy ownership on your bridge, right?" Richard said, "Let's argue publicly, little guy. Validators can collude and cause havoc, or an admin key can change validators to new ones, and then they can collude and cause havoc. It's not escapable. Adding a time lock would just cause harm in one way for benefit in another way. So you realize your idea sucks, right?" Now, I think Giga replied to that. I thought he did.
Yeah. Maybe after this one.
I'm not sure. Not in there anyway. Yeah, I'm almost certain that he said something else. But I mean, either way, it's still kind of a back and forth, I believe. Yeah, if you do show more, is it just it's just the rest of that tweet. I wonder if maybe maybe one of his was removed or deleted. I don't know. Well, I don't want to get way too bogged down in this. What do you think of what Giga said though, and Richard's response though? I mean, is this just a flex for attention, or
Yep.
what do you think of his points?
Well, no, I don't know if it's a flex for attention, but as Richard stated, he's gone over all this. Even when the PulseChain was being developed, they were testing bridges on testnet and came to the conclusion that they went with the one that had never been hacked, right? While there are still risks and trust, there is no way to have a bridge without it. You can't do it. There, the development and the first person I think who comes up with one that is controlled by a smart contract and could be revolutionary. As far as I know, there is no such thing. There are some that are better than others. And again, they went with the one that had the least amount of risk. We called this during Hex, when these people would come out with these things, the parade of imaginary horribles. And everybody's like trying to scare people off with these what ifs. What if Richard, does this, or what if the OA does this? And we're back to that same thing, the same conversation that we had back then. Again, a bridge is a bridge. You have to trust somebody. As far as I'm concerned, Richard has not done anything malicious that we've seen in the past, 6 years now? Almost 7 years, 8 years, I guess, because he started in 2018, 2019. So, if you're going to trust anybody, that's who I'm putting my trust in. I wouldn't put trust in a whole group, a multi-sig, a group of people that can collude is probably a horrible idea. Seen multiple hacks where multi-sig ended up with a group of guys getting together and trying to take it over and emptying the whole cash cow and taking it and running off. So again, I think we are in the best position that we could be, and got to trust the one who developed it. And it sucks that you got to trust somebody, but I think we're in the best position we can be to have to trust him.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you there. And I get why people can get critical of Richard because just how hard that he comes at people when it comes to stuff like this. But I also think that's if you're investing in the ecosystem, it's partially also because of that, because you want somebody who's going to go out and be like that. You know what I mean? And could there be flaws in some of the things that he says? And, could there be hypocrisy here and there? Yeah, maybe, but you don't want somebody who's going to just give up because of that.
Right.
That's going to happen. But, I think that, so investing in him is kind of part of this too. I think Gary's was also a reply to this. Now, this one I find way more interesting. Because, Gary funding Jim, highly respectable guy, he has put, I don't even know how much, but a shit ton of money into this ecosystem. You said this to me the other day, and I guess it was confirmed. I don't know if he said it before. I mean, who cares either way? It's another man's decision and money, but I think he did sell a good bit at some point when Pulse was up once a long time ago. But he's still been involved in the ecosystem. He's done a lot of great for the ecosystem. But so Gary funding Jim says, why do you trust assets to sit on ETH but not on PulseChain? Presumably meaning the SAC funds and other money that he's had hanging out on Ethereum blockchain. So Richard said, does Pulse sit on PulseChain, PulseX, Provex, Hex? Do you mean stables? I have to guess because your comment is vague and sucks. With stables, you have admin key risk at the issuer on chains they issue on natively, and you have that same risk plus bridge risk on a chain they're not native on. Do you want to try asking your vague question over again in a way that doesn't suck? So, I mean, obviously those parts of it are not necessary, and he's doing that for a reason. I know Gary replied to this again though. I'm 100% sure he kept my set.
Oh, there.
I know for sure there's another Gary reply. You're just gonna have to find it. I don't know what else to tell
I
you.
guess I am.
Yeah, I think I even bookmarked it. Let me see if I have it or not, because I know he came back again with another.
Here we go. I found it.
Here. Okay. Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. So no, Gary continues. No, I mean, how do you advocate? Whoops. Sorry, my stupid ass screen. I keep clicking on shit mistakenly and it messed everything up. Any day now. He said, no, I mean, how do you advocate do as I say, not as I do? Trusting free minted or airdropped Pulse, PulseX, and PHEX to sit on PulseChain does not equate bridging value into PulseChain, and you know this. Do you trust the bridge or do you not? So Richard replies to this with a longer post. He says, personally, I don't like bridge risk and I don't like stablecoin admin key risk, but it sounds like you're trying to bait me at elementary school level to do what? Bridge lots of money in and let it sit. Perhaps you should lobby for me to bridge in and market buy instead, but that wouldn't really make sense for the argument that you're making, because as noted in the PPS of my original post, when you swap from bridge to native, you're not actually using the bridge anymore, are you? So just say you want me to God candle, to your point earlier, Ewok. TLDR, even if you don't use the bridge, you still have some risk because a bridge gets wrecked. It has market effects. PS, your weak post is basically cry fagging. You cry about things lamely without really explaining what the problem is or what might solve it. Lame post, do better. PPS, actually, wouldn't at this point this be like a PPPS? I don't know.
Yeah, something. We're up to PPPS.
Yeah, PPP. I am in the blockchain for replacing trust with proof where possible, and I prefer native tokens to bridge to in tokens when possible. I don't think Gary followed up any longer to that.
No, he didn't.
I mean, I guess my question is, and I want you to analyze this just from the bridge and the admin key risk part of all this stuff, but I mean, Richard knows who he's talking to here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's definitely responding in this way. I think he's probably irritated and pissed off. I think he does, he's talked about the concern trolling stuff before. Now here he called it cry fagging, but I think that's what he is looking at here. And he's like, hey, like, I understand prices are down and all these things, but I'm trying to focus on positioning things positively and marketing positively. And he's getting pissed off that people are doing this. I don't know what the right way about all this is. Because, it would stand to reason with the logic I just gave that maybe he would just ghost comments like this or not even respond to them and just focus on positives. I don't know. So, yeah, what do you make of, I guess, the way in which he's responding to Gary here? And then the actual argument of, is what Gary's saying, do you think, is that actually indicative of RH, not having faith in his own bridge? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and it has nothing to do with it. It just adds extra risk that he's probably not willing to take. Here's a bit of history. Gary and Richard and Miguel, DCC, they all hung out in Miami together. I believe it was Miami when they were on one of the Fresh and Fit podcast or whatever. Back in the day. So I know they've spent time together. I know they know each other personally, right? More than any of us have ever not, met Richard or anything like that. They've spent time together. So yeah, I think that's why he's getting a bit upset with Gary. Like they've, I'm sure, talked at length. Now, this was years ago, whenever things were really good. Now, here's what happens when prices aren't so good. Then you're looking for excuses and you're trying to bitch about things that Richard really doesn't have control of. So you're bringing up other issues that really aren't issues. And I think it pisses him off. I honestly, I think that's why you're seeing the response from him. And that's why he says it. He says, so just say it. You want me to God candle. Or, why would you add, well, first of all, a lot of the stable coins that I know of that were held originally were all converted into Ethereum anyway. So I really don't think he's even taking the risk of just holding stables on ETH. I'm sure he has some somewhere, but again, it's not really any of our concern or business, right? The funds are his. He can do with them what he wants. That was what the moral of the story is. That's what the sacrifice was. I think there's too many people that are expecting too many things out of him. We all want it to happen. I'd lie if I didn't feel the same way. But I'm not going to come out and say it publicly. Again, there's the whole expectation thing, and I think he feels like, Gary, you know better.
Yeah.
That's why he's talking to him this way. Now, as far as his conversation with Giga, I don't know that, I don't think they ever met or whatever. But he's trying to introduce extra things. And I think that's why Richard responded that way. So he only got really heated with those two that I saw anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't really go through every comment, but
Yeah, those were the two that I saw popping up in other people's feeds.
yeah. And again, I think the one with Gary is a little bit more personal because they've actually spent time together. Whether they're friends or not, Gary has brought a lot of people into PulseChain. He had some really good connections. He had with the Kiyosaki group, with the
PBD guys.
yeah, Patrick Bet-David, those guys, when they had that contest, and
with Rags to Riches, Brandon, and
yep. So there were a lot of eyes, and maybe Gary feels slighted at the price, but again, that's not anything for Richard can't help that people are selling. So I mean, it is what it is. Richard brings up good points. Gary's trying to say, why aren't you bridging in and just letting it sit there? Well, I don't know that I would either, right? You're adding risk. What happens if that money goes away? Then guess what? People are really going to leave. People are really going to pound the sell button. Why put a target on something that you don't have to? So that's my thought.
What do you also make of this? In a way, and again, I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with Gary, but I also think that it is good for somebody that has the agency that Gary does, the money that Gary does, the resources that Gary does, challenge Richard. You know what I mean? Trust me, there's a lot of people challenging Richard. I mean, most people have completely turned on him, and it's back to early Hex days now. But I do think in a way it is good for the little guy. You know what I mean? That there is somebody of substantial means that is at least challenging him in some way, because every I think leader should be kept in check, or attempted to be kept in check at some point. Have people with dissenting opposite opinions. I'm not saying Richard, either one is right or wrong. I'm just saying it's good that I think people challenge them.
Well, and I don't know that keeping
more of I'll drink the Kool-Aid no matter what, and nobody's.
Well, I'm just kidding. No, I don't think that. But again, we've a lot of this conversation is meaningless, and yeah, Johnny, nothing irritates you more than friendly fire. People that you thought were friends and had your back. So I get that completely, and that's probably why it probably pissed him off even more. Again, he hasn't done anything wrong. He's played this very, very smart. As he's always several steps ahead. And again, why would you introduce unnecessary risk? Basically, Gary's saying, why don't you bridge money in and just let it sit there? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? And maybe he has. I know there's several $1 million sitting on the sidelines in stables. They're broken apart into a bunch of wallets, but who knows whose they are, right? So, I mean,
there could be other reasons too. I mean, the people wallet watch and stuff like that. I mean, just the fact that Gary knows that it's not bridged in is a fact already. I mean, what is bridging in? People are going to try to front run it, buy up the ecosystem, and then when they realize there's no buys coming, it's going to sell it back down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that too. But
it's just meaningless discussion. Again, it's all fear mongering, imaginary, horrible stuff that hasn't happened, and you worry people for no reason. It's just, it doesn't do any good for the ecosystem whatsoever.
Yeah, I do get being pissed off about the concern trolling stuff because it is just kind of like, what are you trying to do here? Like, what are you actually? And that's what Richard said. What are you actually trying to accomplish here? Like, what is your point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. It was cool to see the spiciness, I guess, anyway, with both of these. So interesting stuff for sure. And just that Richard obviously is still active is awesome to see too. So I want to wrap up with this because I think it's going to take us a little bit to get through this post. I think it's super bullish. So we've seen Liberty Swap, of course, introducing all kinds of new stuff on PulseChain over the last, at least I think it's been over a year now since they've been around. You know, if you're not familiar with Liberty Swap, they kind of stealth out of nowhere were mentioned by Richard Hart a little over a year ago, probably, and they've been building all these things for PulseChain, obviously. I don't know what connections there are between them and anybody else, but I think it's good that we have an entity like Liberty Swap building these things and there's not somebody's name attached to a lot of them. I think that's a really good thing. So the ZKX wallet has already launched, this privacy wallet that Liberty Swap's been talking about for a while. And I think, like, to the point we were talking about a moment ago of just trying to focus on positive things that are happening and not ignoring the price, but like, look, if you're not going anywhere and you're not selling, you might as well shut up and focus on what the positives are and talk about it, shill it, use it, and engage with it. You know, not blindly, but if you know that you believe in this stuff and you're not going anywhere, you might as well focus on what's positive. You know what I mean? So awesome to see them launch this already. And Sami, really good post today. So this is like one of those new things, like an article that you can do on Twitter, this function that he used to write this. So this is super long. We'll try to just cover the main points. And there's definitely video tutorials out there on this as well. But this is brand new. Normal disclaimer. I mean, neither of us have even touched this yet. It just came out and we're way too busy. But anytime there's something new, no matter what, it's always like, you know, I think we kind of have a policy of like, let it out there for a couple of months and, you know, let's see what goes on with it and everything. But it certainly is awesome as far as speculating on the innovation and wanting to use it eventually. So this is what it is, the ZKX privacy wallet. So, yeah, you want to scroll down? Okay. So ZKX wallet enables privacy and other cool features for crypto. PulseChain community is home of the cypherpunks. ZKX wallet upgrades your account into a smart contract or enhances EOAs via EIP 7702 without changing your address or breaking compatibility, so you can import and export freely. This unlocks protection against wallet drainers, batch transactions, gasless transactions, and human-readable transactions. Fully open source, first of its kind on PulseChain. Hardware wallets are supported and fully recommended for safety. So for the instructions, it's a Chrome extension, much like many wallets. So you would just download a Chrome extension for ZKX Web3 wallet, and they have the link right there. You would then create new or import your existing wallet. So, and great point by Sami here. Do not just be entering, if it's a hardware wallet, you do not want to enter your seed phrase onto it to import this wallet. It's a hardware wallet. You shouldn't need to do that. You would want to go to wherever there's an option to link your hardware wallet. That's what you would do to import that. So, and you can check on how to do that by creating a new account or import existing. All right. So step 3, save your seed phrase securely. Never show anyone this if you're populating a new one. Do not ever type it again. If someone learns this, they have all your money, blah, blah, blah. We all know that stuff. Once again, my StreamYard just took me right out of the full screen view. Pretty cool. Step 4, this looks like a standard crypto wallet. Look at the top right and you'll see public or private. So everything's there. You got like your balances and, again, standard wallet. You can send, receive, whatever, but you've got the tabs over the top right to go public or private. So by default, it'll already be on public. If you scroll down, the public is the standard public wallet address. Private will allow you to use railgun technology to move assets with extra shielded protection. Step 5, you would click private to switch and it'll turn into a gold. Everything turns gold. So you're into the golden ticket zone after doing that. When you shield your tokens, you can transfer from your public wallet to the private section. Now it's hidden. Unshielding will let you transfer from private back into a public wallet where it's all visible again. The shielding is an extra privacy protection, but nothing is purely 100% hidden on the chain because, I mean, it is a blockchain after all. But this significantly changes the game, and now it turns wallet tracking into a tougher game of probability. So if you scroll down a little further, so there is extra protection against phishing by only authorizing approved websites once, which is a big help to protect against fake websites. So that is good.
Mm-hmm.
The Liberty Shield feature has its own cross chain, so you can move between PulseChain, BNB, Ethereum, and others. I think Solana, Polygon are in there too. More nitty gritty, each 0x wallet will automatically generate a 0ZK wallet. So that's very cool. I assume that's the privacy version of the wallet. So that is awesome. To shield your coins, you may need to deposit some ETH or stable coins into your wallet first. After that, the process will be automated as possible. So, okay. This will shield the coins very quickly. ZKX Wallet and Liberty Swap will run their own Railgun infrastructure to help stabilize the Railgun UX and earn fees from shielding and unshielding assets. Remember, you quickly shield and start moving things around. It makes it easier to track with effort because people can just match transaction amounts moving. Like, I get what his point is here. I saw Sami talking about this today. Say you wanted to shield a major move of a lot of money you were sending. If it's exactly like 500 ETH and then you move it out of the private wallet right after, people are going to know, oh, that private wallet's probably that guy's public wallet because he just made that move. So if you waited for a little while, waited for a month, there's all these other transactions. You can move it out in smaller batches. It still will help with privacy and help against, that kind of wallet tracking.
Yeah.
Going down to what's next. In-wallet swap will be built in and powered by Liberty X, which is already a thing. Gasless, zero fees. They're rolling features out step by step. Final thoughts can be summarized by the next picture, and then it's Sami with a huge green candle and green tits. So, but yeah, this is awesome. I mean, not only is this
wait. What's the spoon? Am I missing something?
It's a character in one of his videos. He has a character called Spoonie. I don't remember its origination. Maybe somebody can help me with that in the chat, but I know he talks about Spoonie from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he has a video of this as well. So I mean, really though, I mean, this one of the best creations I think we've seen from Liberty Swap. Really cool to see all this. They've been building insane things. We have just the fact we even have Liberty Swap to begin with, which can onboard you into the ecosystem easily. The Liberty X, which you can swap tokens. And now this, I mean, it's just awesome. So yeah, what do you make of this, Ewok?
It's exciting. You look at some of the coolest things that we have. Internet Money Wallet, for example, was one of the first that are pre-programmed wallets that we have that can automatically detect PulseChain stuff. It's set up, it's ready to go. Now this with the privacy and it seems like a lot of cool features. Again, I haven't used it. I'm not endorsing it. We're just talking about it because it's new. So be overly cautious with anything new. And this is included in that. But it's great to see people building, especially with the way prices are right now. It just shows me that people aren't going anywhere. People are here to stay. They're here to build. They're here to make a future out of this chain. So for me, that's extremely exciting. Again, I haven't tried it yet. I haven't had time to even look at it or really know anything about it, but I can totally see it is open source. I wouldn't be surprised to see KG maybe implement something similar with Internet Money Wallet. With the whole Provex thing that's happening, I really think the privacy movement is going to be the catalyst for the next bull run. When it happens, who knows? But I can definitely see things headed in that direction where it is going to be extremely important for people to be able to protect, to hide funds, to do whatever. And I can see that becoming a big thing. So yeah, very exciting. Those guys have been, Liberty Swap has been coming up with all kind of stuff. So yeah, I love what they're doing, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah. Johnny's comment. Don't pretend I don't know about Spoonie because I never miss a video. I mean, there was a time you were right about that, but my crypto intake content has gone down by about 80% here in the last few months. So I think I missed the origination of Spoonie, unfortunately. That's all. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm super stoked about this. What I think, I said this to you when we were hanging out the other night. I feel like Liberty Swap is kind of the pseudo in lieu of Richard Hart himself. I want to be careful how I say this, but I feel like it's the chief account of the chain right now. You know what I mean? I feel like it's the prime media account of the entire chain, almost like the official PulseChain Twitter account. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it actually is. I just mean, and I like that because it's an entity. You know what I mean? I like that. Obviously, Richard Hart's Richard Hart. Everybody knows that he created these things and stuff like that. But as far as like branding, putting out like cool, funny AI images and stuff with the stuff they do, like, I mean, they're doing a lot of that. That's I guess my point. I feel like they're the media account of Pulse.
Yeah, and I feel like they have a team, right? They have a media team. They have things like that in place. Be careful how you said that, though. He didn't create Liberty. We don't think.
I didn't say that. Did I say that?
Well, you said he created these things, and
like PulseChain. I mean,
yes,
he's the creator of the chain as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear about what you said there. There was some weird speculation by everybody at the beginning of how he was involved and how he found out about this, Liberty Swap thing, because they were basically came out of nowhere, essentially, and rose pretty quickly. So he had backing, or my opinion is he may know the people that are, doing this or whoever they are. For him to vouch for them so quickly without any kind of history was odd, and we all kind of saw that. So, but yes, the work that they have done, quite impressive. I haven't really used them that much. I just haven't really had the need. But yeah, I'm impressed with what they're doing. I'm happy that they're continuing to work right now. I think that's the most important thing, is that people are still building stuff. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's all we can really look at right now. I mean, obviously the prices are down, so we know that that's been like that for quite some time. But yeah, the fact that these things are being built out, that's kind of what I was saying earlier about like the response from Gary in that thread is, I think that's the message that RH is trying to subtly communicate to people, is like to focus on these things that are being built right now. You know? I think it's also interesting that, speaking of RH, Liberty Swap, I don't see him reposting these things. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen him say, "Hey, did you check out this new privacy wallet that just launched?" or anything. Yeah, to Johnny's point right there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's interesting too. Like, I don't see Richard, other than whenever they first came out, like you said, and kind of stealth talking about them all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I never really see him saying like, "Hey, check out this new product from Liberty Swap," unless I'm forgetting something.
And something else that you don't see is them saying, "Boo hoo, Richard won't talk about us."
Scout disease, you mean?
That means a lot to me too. So
yeah,
they don't really need his validation to continue to work. So good to see that.
Yeah, I totally agree. So really exciting here. Again, no need to be clicking around and doing anything with something that just came out, but definitely cool to see what they're doing, and we'll continue to follow what it is. That was the last like major thing I wanted to make sure we touched. Ewok, is there anything that you wanted to finish up on tonight?
No, I don't think so. We didn't bring up the Ben Cohen thing. It would probably take too long to read through that mess, and
it's just weird.
Yeah.
If you want to put up, I'm not going to read the whole post, but we could just share like a quick thought on it, because it's just really cringy, and I think I know what he's doing at this point. I mean, Ben Cohen, he's a Bitcoin long-term swing trader type guy, makes millions a year in subscriptions and stuff like that, which kudos to him. He's built an empire. That's awesome. Good for you. I'm not going to begrudge anybody for anything like that. But he's had a little taste of main character syndrome lately. And a lot of people giving him pats on the back. And even when some people have come out saying like, "Oh, you were wrong about April," people are acting like, "Oh, why is everybody all on Ben Cohen?" Well, they're not all on Ben Cohen, because everybody comes out of the woodwork to say, I just want to step out and say my support for Benjamin Cohen. So it's not, they're acting like this is a crypto capo situation where the whole industry's turned on him and he's a laughing stock. I mean, everybody's defending Ben Cohen still. And to his credit, I mean, he called a lot of things right in 2025. He's also gotten a lot of things wrong, but it's kind of just a recency bias here. I think he's kind of leaning into like villain character stuff here because this post is bullshit. I'm sorry. I just, there's no way that you can objectively think that Gary Gensler and his SEC was good overall for crypto. I mean, I think this is completely rage baiting type stuff, which again is kind of how he makes his money. I mean, he makes his money more as content and selling his service, not trading. But he says, when Gensler left the SEC in January 25, Bitcoin was 109K. Today, it's at 75K. That's the most loaded sentence that I could ever. I mean, this is somebody who purports the 4-year cycle. So wouldn't it be that anyway? I don't even understand what you're talking about here.
Right.
Because that has to do with Gary Gensler leaving office. Then he says, one major reason the crypto markets have suffered is because market participants started to lose faith in the industry itself. Just like every other bear market. After Gensler left, it essentially just opened the floodgates to the grifting age of crypto, as if that didn't already exist. There wasn't grifting in 2017. In 2017, everything was totally kosher. Nothing was wrong at all.
Yeah, right.
Influencers and politicians were launching meme coins and rug pulling their followers each and every day. Yeah, same stuff went on years ago without fear of repercussions. This led to a massive misallocation of capital into useless assets that drained liquidity from the industry. While people celebrated Gensler leaving, I thought that it was, you just hear the tone. It actually marked a turning point in the industry, with Bitcoin only marginally going higher before entering a bear market. So now the thesis for where we're at is Gensler leaving the SEC. According to
pretty crazy.
Now that people celebrate Powell's removal, and I just said you had a follow-up post. He says it in here. Now Powell's removal also is going to be bearish for crypto, he says. Yep. So now that Powell's removal as the Fed Reserve, it makes me think history will repeat itself once again. And let me guess, we also need President AOC next, and that's going to relaunch the crypto glory days. Don't get me wrong, Trump's been a massive failure, I feel like, but what is this guy talking about? People celebrated in the short term, but as we look back on this era in a few years, I imagine it will mark a turning point in credibility at the Fed. If the Fed just becomes another cabinet, I mean, the Fed is just, the Fed in general is just its own entity, its own group that they're all unelected regardless. If the Fed just becomes another cabinet of the executive branch, it may lead to a lack of trust in the institution itself. Well, no one trusts it. What the hell is he talking about? I have no clue. I don't know if this is a manipulative scheme. I don't know if he really believes these things. I can't think that he is as dense to think Gary Gensler's removal from office is the reason the market went down. And there's some people kind of,
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
There are some responses just like, what the hell are you talking about here? I don't know. I don't know if he's just feeling himself because of some of his calls over the last year. But I mean, Gary Gensler objectively, with his SEC, did horrible, horrible things for they in fact did not uphold any kind of policy. They did not provide any kind of clarification. They threw lawsuits at the wall to see what would stick and attacked everybody, as we know in our community, but attacked everybody left and right. There was no clarity whatsoever. So I really don't know what this guy is talking about.
Engagement. It's engagement. It's got to be engagement. Nobody liked Gensler. I mean, look at, he went after Coinbase, he went after Kraken, he went after all of the even the honest people. I say that loosely, but the exchanges, the people that had been there for several years. And established business. I don't buy that at all. Again, it's rage baiting, engagement, enticing post that he's hoping to make some money off of, I think. So nobody will miss Gensler. Jerome Powell, that's another story for another day. Again, we have to see how this all plays out as far as the markets go and things like that. But nobody is going to miss flip-flopping Gary Gensler.
Yeah, I mean, just the most corrupt of the most corrupt. I mean, just a horrible, horrible leader. I mean, it's an embarrassment to even associate that word with him in any way. Yeah, his entire organization with the SEC was, frankly, the most corrupt government branch. I mean, I can even remember, honestly, with the things that they did.
Him and Elizabeth Warren and her cronies that were all waging the war. Yeah, exactly, right there for years. And maybe Johnny's right. Maybe that's why we're feeling the effects of it now. The way it's played out, and you know, the bad reputation that it got because they did wage a war on crypto, and they, you know, made everybody think it was a bad place to be. And so nobody's gonna miss him. I'm sorry.
That's what Ben is completely missing here. And again, I think you're right that it's rage bait, but I mean, they did not bring clarity. They did anything but, and that's what everybody was pissed off about. I mean, even the exchanges were saying, like, we're not even asking you to agree with us 100%. We know that's not likely at all, but can you say something? You know what I mean?
And they wouldn't.
Yeah. So it's Ben's in a very weird place right now. And I hope that Johnny's right that he gets mogged hardcore here over the coming months. So we shall see. So, that's Ben Cohen for you. So welcome back into the Cryptoverse.
That's all. That was my final thought. I just wanted to bring that up and how comical it was.
It's fun for sure. So great show. Great comments tonight. Really enthusiastic, even with prices the way they are. Appreciate all you guys being here. Another week. It's gonna be May next week. So we will be back same time next week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do this every Wednesday night. I would scroll up and thank everybody in the chat, but my StreamYard's being weird tonight. So Johnny Chaos was here all night. We appreciate your comments, sir, and good to see you again. Tam was here earlier. We had Valiant Low Key, Extra Crypto, lots of good stuff from you tonight. DJ Moonboy, appreciate the super chat, and rest in peace to Tom. And I know I'm missing a whole bunch of people. I just can't get scrolled up right now. But we love you all. Thank you for being here. And we will be back next week. So for Crypto Ewok, this has been Barely Legal Boy Crypto right here on the Creed of Crypto. See you guys.
See y'all.